should have
You
recorded
got a
before
camel
the
toe.
camel toe.
Have you heard that song?
Which
you
one?
gotta fix yourself, girl. You got a camel toe.
Was that
Is your
Lizzo?
pants hungry, girls? Because they're eating their pants.
Sounds
No,
like a Lizzo song.
No, it's called Camel Toe.
Lizzo's in trouble right now.
Yeah, for fat
Yeah.
shaming.
I heard
is.
something about
No.
bananas and prostitutes, sex
made-
workers.
She made a couple of her dancers eat bananas out of some sex worker vaginas in the red light district, I want to say.
Allegedly. Hey, that would have fit in perfect for our hostel episode.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish it had happened sooner so we could have mentioned it. Oh well.
I mean that's the new Lizzo move. It's like your herpes infested mouth pulling out a banana out of a nanner hole. So
okay.
Excuse me, sex workers have great health care in Amsterdam.
well, the one I had smelled like wet pennies.
Well, that was Mexico, not Amsterdam.
No, that was
Just
Riverside.
kidding, my motherland, Riverside. Even worse. Okay, well, I guess we're waiting for Aid. She's probably giving Stella a stern talking to. You're muted.
I know. Stella
It's just funny. Boston Terriers never act like that. So I don't know what's going on.
You need this. You need a good bitch. Look at this bitch. Well, he's a man, but you would never know.
She demands attention when she wants it, and I'm the only one who takes care of her. So you can imagine.
Interesting. Just like her owner. This is the first episode of Dog Days of Summer. So,
well, AKA
talking about our dogs.
Month of the Bitch. So, you have any guests that are a bitch you want to bring on? I can name a few.
Douglas. Douglas, we're not going to mention.
I was talking about the dogs.
Oh, no, my little bitch.
Oh, we said we're not going to mention her. Oh, you meant the literal dog. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not mentioning little bitch, but I do know her name actually.
Oh, really? Well, I'm taking a visual memory. Every time I go to IKEA and I see the bean bags, I'll imagine.
Anyways, that was really mean. Anyway, but yeah, no, for our first episode of Dog Days of Summer, that's exciting. Did we start, or is this like the intro before the intro?
That's fine.
Is the intro?
We talked about camel toes, but camels are distant cousins of dogs? Question mark. You're not a science teacher, you're an English teacher. Go ask the hot science teacher in class, second period, what have you.
Oh, there's a couple hot teachers this year, I will say. They're probably like 20 something.
Really, you should give them your catchphrase. Just say, hey, I'll make like a tampon and see you next period.
Like, who are you? Oh my God, Douglas, that is disgusting.
That's hot.
Anyway.
I'll make like a Tampax and fly away on your red wings. I'm not good at it like Doug. I'm sorry.
I can't think of anything either, but I can tell you that, today's movie, a lot of is a good bitch. Good bitches.
Oh, no.
This one here.
I want you to make like a period and have my vagina bleed. That's hot, right?
Ooh, I could taste the wet pennies right now.
Copper.
I got
This is slut.
Okay, Jason. I hate both of you today.
That's okay.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Oh, you want me to do it?
I thought you were hosting. Oh,
you want me
this
to
is
do
a
it?
free balling episode.
All right, yeah. Fuck it. I've you know what I haven't done in a while. This is Slashers, your new favorite podcast about your new favorite horror media. I know Mikey hates it when I say that because it's just horror media in general. And I am your host today, Aid, and with me, as always, are my esteemed colleagues, co-hosts, and cohorts for our Dog Days of Summer. Mikey, my boo-boo.
Hi.
Oh, I thought you were muted. And then Douglas and Mr. P.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I'm gonna be here helping you guys out with petting my bitch.
Well, I just think it's funny. I had my dog up here, but she didn't say her name. But I can only assume it's because she's black and Mr. P is white.
I'm sorry, Stella is also black. So don't
she's
go there.
She's
mixed race. I didn't mention her because she's being a little bitch right now. So she is sitting. Oh, she is. She's a mixed baby, but she's also French. So we're gonna give her a pass today.
Well,
but Yoshi is with Mikey, licking him.
Say hi,
licking him
Yoshi.
up.
YouTube exclusive. Okay, go. Yeah.
Yoshi's stressing out. Look at neck
She's a mess.
exercises.
I know. Aren't they all? Except for Mr. P, who's like the perfect dog.
Yeah, it's
I
like
know.
he's on diazepam or something, but he's just just normally like that.
So Mikey came up with this category this month. Mikey, would you like to explain to our listeners what Dog Days of Summer actually is, and not just about, men being dogs, because we know plenty of them, Doug especially.
Oh yeah,
And
we're not gonna have those sexist comments on my podcast to the very fragile men race.
You mean the men that go watch the Barbie movie?
I was gonna say someone obviously just saw Barbie and feels empowered. Anyways,
I did. Thank you. Hi, Barbie.
So, what is it? No, I was gonna say something. Oh man, you made me. I forgot it. Not you. I forgot about it. I was like, I'm gonna do a play off of that, but I forgot what it was. Hey bitch, because it's Dog Days of Summer. But anyways, Dog Days of Summer literally is the month of August because it's the hottest month of the year. So they call it the Dog Days of Summer. Or is I don't know. It's the 100 hottest days of the year, I believe, and it takes place in August. Something like that. But because it's fucking hot, because the world is melting, I was like, let's do Dog Days of Summer and we'll do horror movies about pooches and pooch adjacent. You'll figure out what that means later.
Well, it's such a huge divergent from what it originally was going to be, Mikey. Well, it was going to be hot, wet, and moist summer, like soupy pussy month.
Exactly. That's verbatim. It was going to be wet, hot slasher summer. But I've been so miserable in this heat. I texted the group and I was like, there is nothing sexy about this fucking global warming. So we're going to change it. And then I told Aid the other day, or maybe I told the group, I don't remember. I was like, we'll move it to spring and we'll do what was it? Spring beaver fever. Oh no, spring fever.
Spring fever, yes.
Yeah.
Fever.
We could do beaver fever too. That's fine.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, we could do zombie beavers in spring.
Yeah, that's the only killer beaver movie though. We'll just do it 4 times.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the trailer for that killer sloth movie?
I haven't, but I've heard of it. Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse.
I thought it was just Mike Tyson trying to say slaughterhouse.
No, it's a killer sloth that gets loose in this girl's sorority and kills them slowly.
Oh my God, that's terrible. I love sloths. You don't touch my babies. They're so cute.
You should see the killer. There's he's going for it and the girl's screaming and it's like this. It's like going up slowly to the neck.
Yeah.
Do they use the real one?
I don't know. It's driving a little Tykes car, so I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. So we're going the full moon route.
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I've fed sloths before. I've almost picked one up and then I got yelled at. But
I've
here
dated
in Florida,
one.
Oh well, yeah. I think we've all dated a sloth. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. In Florida, what?
No, I'm just saying in Florida, there's places you can go to feed them, and they like mangoes.
Oh, I like mangoes too, but I am not a sloth because I'm not slow and I'm very hot. I actually wanted to ask you guys, have y'all seen the Saw X trailer and the new Exorcist trailer?
Yes and yes.
I've only seen the Exorcist trailer because I saw once. I'm sorry, I'm not excited about Saw. I'll watch it.
A la verga.
So, and it's funny, there was an article today like, this Saw is going to be the longest Saw out of the whole franchise. Coming in at 1 hour and 49 minutes, bitch. Literally, it's 5 minutes longer than Spiral. And I was like, why is this news? I don't care for Saw. I understand they have a large following. I'm happy for those girls. But it just looks like if I would have seen the commercial and you would have not told me it was a new movie, I would have figured that was something that happened in one of the 9 other movies because I've seen them all, but I don't really remember them. I know Austin's very excited for the new Saw movie. Cool. But it's just more of the same stuff. And if you like, but to their defense, every Paranormal Activity is more of the same. I love those movies. Saw, more of the same, but that's not my jam, Yeah.
I'm excited for it. That's what I know. Well, let me tell you, and the reason I brought up a la verga, no mames, It's because this one, it takes place between 1 and 2. So basically it's they should have called it Saw X Jigsaw Goes to Mexico, because that's where it takes place. And so he like yeah, I mean the trailer shows it, but yeah, someone's in a trap and they're like, no mames. when one of the things, but they gave us posters. We went to this convention and it's like, I guess I love the traps. That's why I like Saw, and I like Tobin Bell as well too. I think he's great.
Oh yeah,
but I love the traps. Saw 6 is my favorite one, so take that with it as you will. But these traps look interesting. Like there's a glass eye tube, like fluorescent lights going through. So I mean, it just seems interesting. I'm excited. I'll see it day one.
I think the traps are interesting, but to me, it goes back to I never have any character development with them. And so I meet these people. I know most, if not all of them, are going to die. They don't really spend a lot of time having you care for them, because also a lot of it is revenge porn. They very much make you want these people to die, especially in this one when it's about faking a cure for cancer. And so that's why he's doing it. I do like the revenge aspect, because revenge is very fulfilling in life. So that part I can definitely vibe with, but it's just, I need more.
With Saw, I mean, okay, it's neither here nor there with character development. I feel like it's very consistent with the same characters until they kill them off. Because if you watch it from part 1, and only did this not recently, Dan had wanted to watch years ago all of them. I was like, damn. You've never seen them? Like, what is wrong with you? So I actually sat and watched them consecutively with him, like over a course of a few days. And I didn't realize that a lot of the cops, like the cops in part 1, show up in parts 2, 3, 4, and 5 until they're killed, right? So they are consistent with characters, but you really need to pay attention. I think, when you think of Saw, you think of torture porn, you think of the traps. Traps are always great. But parts 3 and 4 are probably the strongest, in my opinion, the strongest of the franchise. And then after that, it starts to dip in as far as character development, as far as plot line goes. Nobody cares anymore. Tobin Bell is gone for good. I mean, he comes back in flashbacks, but Jigsaw, who Jigsaw was, is gone. And so at that point that people can't really survive the traps anymore. So it kind of takes away from the allure of part 3, because you knew that whoever was taking over for Jigsaw wasn't letting people survive the traps, right? And so after that, it just becomes like a
murder house.
Yeah, it's we'll see. I liked Spiral. I did like Spiral, but I liked it because it was a different story. Because I'm sick of the same shit. When they put, what's his name, Sean Patrick Flannery as the little bitch, and Saw, which one was that?
Is that the one where he's the writer of the book and he lied?
Yeah,
that's
he
the
lies.
Last one, yeah.
Yeah, and the things fall and his wife gets burned up, and and they all blend together. And it's like, and if Jason were here, he would say that Luke Danes was in 5 and 6, and he dies in 6, and it's true, because he was wearing a hairpiece during Gilmore Girls when he was filming those movies, and that's how we knew that he was in Saw, because he has a hairpiece in the movies, but not on Gilmore Girls. But anyways, doesn't matter. Neither here nor there. Exorcist, I don't give a fuck. No.
Oh. My closing statement about Saw is the only thing that I've ever liked about them is, I don't know if y'all remember the show Scream Queens, where the girls competed for a role on Saw.
Yeah.
And it was hosted by James Gunn and Shawnee Smith, who plays Amanda in Saw. And Amy Smart, I believe, was the other host. She was a host. James Gunn and Shawnee Smith were the judges. But anyways, the woman who won that, her name is Tanedra Howard. She's great. And she was in the Saw film.
She was in my favorite one, I
believe
the 6th one.
Was it 4 or 5? 6?
She was in 6, yeah.
So she shows up in 6. She does great. She survives, and then they bring her back for a scene in the next one in like a support group scenario. And I watched it, I'm like, man, she really is talented. So if she came back, I would definitely be on board for this next one. But I ask about the Exorcist trailer because, full disclosure, I've only seen the edited for TV Exorcist, and I haven't seen it all the way through. I've seen bits and pieces as a child. We have so many Exorcist movies that I feel like if I watched it now, I would be immune to basically most of the scares. Because if it's not scary movie making fun of it, it's other Exorcist movies copying them. But I do need to sit down and watch it in full to appreciate the film, I believe, because I do think there's merit to when people say it's just a good movie. So I didn't watch the new trailer because I had no interest, because I never really cared about the original one, but I finally watched it, and I have to say, I think I'm gonna watch that in the theater. I was a little more surprised that I liked it than not.
Yeah, it looks interesting. DGG's behind it, so of course we're gonna get Pazuzu dies tonight. Pazuzu dies tonight. But no, Mikey, you should watch the original Exorcist. I mean, they made us watch that in film school. You know what I mean? Like that. Watch it because it has. I think it hold. You should have told me. I had the Blu-ray. I could have lent you.
I thought about it when I was there, but I was like, I might get really scared.
I love the original Exorcist to me is my comfort film. And to make, I know it's terrible.
Okay, Sheaton.
It's a good movie. First of all, I love Jason Patrick, and his father plays, Father Damien in The Exorcist, and so I love that. I just think the dialogue, it's very 70s. I love my 70s horror. And people might think it's a slow burn, but if you actually listen to what's going on, you see that it is a very good pacing of dread that follows you throughout the film that you'll never have again. And David Gordon Green will not be able to replicate this, so he can. No,
he's going to put. Now. He's going to put dialogue in there like, oh, she was eating guacamole in all these sexy ways, or whatever that line was in the Halloween 2018 one, I think. But what, you should see the original, because I know the TV version probably cut it all out. But for me, like when I first watched The Exorcist, I did think like there were snippets that were creepy, but what actually stuck with me was how vulgar it was. Mm-hmm. Like that's what always stuck with me. Like, it's a 70s movie, but your cunting daughter, your mom sucks. You know what I mean? But
your mom sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah, and in the TV version, it's like your mom sews socks in hell. I remember that.
Yeah, it is very vulgar for 70s, and there's something so explicit, especially with having a child perform this, right? Because even though it's not her voice, she still is saying it. Because I watched that whole documentary on Shudder. William Friedkin talks about the entire film, and it was so good. I was just captivated because just listening to all the things that he was, they had to do in order to what they had to do with, getting Reagan, or why do I always forget her name?
Yeah, Reagan.
Reagan, what's her real
name? Linda Blair.
Linda Blair. And why do I always forget her name? I don't know why. And I think that they're going to give, they want the cameo with what's her name to come back. Chris McNeil, played by Ellen Burstyn, like she's going to be back in the film. So I think that's going to draw everybody in. And actually, one of my friends thinks that Linda Blair will have a cameo and come back on it. So I think that may draw it in. But again, do we need this?
I don't think so, but I'm intrigued. I don't have the same resentment with the Halloween series as you guys do. I actually do not like 2018. I like them more as they proceed. Don't hate me for it, but
he's just taking hot seats because he's sitting on a hot seat.
The thing is that you're taking a beloved franchise. You're trying to. I get the idea of trying to draw in a new generation to appreciate this. That I understand. How you're going about it, if we're talking about the Halloween remake, I prefer Rob Zombie over David Gordon Green for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, I do too.
Because it's different. It's the movie, but it's not. Don't sit there and say, oh, because Laura did. No, get the fuck out of here. And then they're all chanting. And then the last one with that fucking garbage. Like, really?
Loved it.
I watched it with Doug and Yahara, and I was like, Doug had to pause the movie. I think an hour had gone by. Is this
the right fucking movie?
He goes, we haven't even seen Michael yet. I go, no. It's ridiculous.
I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know it was gonna be like that. You're like, don't apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought we were gonna have a good time.
You know what?
No.
I had a good time because I was there with you and I got to see it. Like that was the
Oh,
only good part, the only good memory I will have of that shit movie because at least we got to watch it together. And I think that that's important too. Like if you're gonna watch these monstrosities, at least have a good time with it. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm excited to watch The Exorcist for the first time. I am interested in this new one. It is most likely a cash grab, but I have a feeling that it has potential to be better than the Halloween series. I think Linda Blair is probably going to come back, but I would say maybe for the second one because they made it like almost a spectacle to be like she's not coming in for the first one. So that's kind of what makes me think that they're probably saving it as a secret for the second one. For some reason, I like that it's two girls instead of one. Like, I don't think I've seen a possession movie where it's been two people at one time.
they just need one cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Douglas.
And because they'll make holy shit. But I don't know. I know. I'm sorry.
Good Lord.
Maybe I'm just feeding into their shit. But when Ellen whatever comes in and she's like, I've met you before, I was like, bitch, you better work that honey. I was into it. You know me, I love an elder final girl. Give it to me.
It's Pazuzu and dealing with that. And part 3, I think it's just strong installment of the franchise.
Oh, I think part 3, you could watch that by itself. Part 3, another one, like part 3 is legitimately scary to me. I like when I think of a horror movie, Brad Dourif is so scary in that movie.
So
and it's
scary.
Dialogue, like honestly, Mikey, if you skip part 1 for whatever reason, Exorcist 3 is an amazing movie.
Part 3, you're gonna be like, like it really
I'll watch 1 and 3, but I will say 3 has already been ruined because I saw the scariest scene on it in one of those specials on Shudder.
What is that? The nun? No, that's not the scariest.
I don't think that's the scariest scene. There's a couple of scenes in there.
There's like a 6-minute dialogue scene with Brad Dourif, and he just knocks like, I'm like, man, how did he not win an Oscar for this?
Brad Dourif, like, why is everyone overlooks him and how fucking amazing an actor he is, especially maybe he won for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Didn't he?
He got something for that, yeah.
Okay. He's an amazing actor, and I don't think people appreciate him. And I think it's because he's more of a genre actor, but he brings so much to the table when it comes to these types of films. Because The Exorcist, while it's a horror film, The Exorcist wins a lot of awards because it's not just a horror film, it's suspense. Like people are drawn to it. This is something that got your ass in seats, right? Like people were scared of it. The Catholic Church didn't want people to read it. People were throwing up. My mom like didn't sleep for days. Like she told me she didn't want to watch it, and everybody made her go see it, and she couldn't sleep for days. Like this, I mean, it was a huge impact for the time that it was, and to bring it now kind of makes me sad because I don't think they're going to have the same impact on this generation.
I don't think so. It has to be something new and fresh to do that. But you know, everybody got fucked up in our generation from the Blair Witch. But I feel like The Exorcist fucked up 2 generations. So kudos to The Exorcist.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw it. Like, it might just be rumor now, but I saw on social media, DGG is back, and he's gonna make a 3-part Nightmare on Elm Street. So, did you see? It's like, why the fuck do you keep giving stuff to him? I don't know. That's just me. I'm just venting.
And he's a comedian. He does comedy and you know, I think Jordan Peele would be more successful with it in my opinion, but
yeah, just let someone else stop giving. It's gonna be I don't know, that's to me that's like McDonald's.
Just come up with fucking ideas. That's it. Like Talk to Me apparently was very good. I still haven't
it's very good.
Talk to Me is amazing.
Yeah, and it's an hour and a half too, but it's not making well obviously because Barbie and Oppenheimer's out right now, but it's just kind of getting overshadowed again. So
yeah. But it's a new idea. And that's, I mean, maybe not as new as we think it is, but it's new and fresh. I mean, it is A24, but at the end of the day, like, it's something different. Stop fucking with us and just give us a good fucking movie. How hard is that? There's a million people in this world. Not one person can rewrite something and write something that is actually new and fresh and amazing and make us scared. How fucking difficult is it? I don't know. Anyways, hopefully
I could live in a world where we had both, because I was just about to say, I think a good pairing would be is if they give that director who did the new Candyman, Nightmare on Elm Street, she could probably turn it out, because
that would be good. Yeah.
the new Candyman, it fell a little flat for me, but the whole aesthetic and everything was good.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, but I also am not very strongly into the original.
Oh, I love the first one. Mikey.
I have like two
I'm
shirts.
trash.
He was gonna be another tattoo on me like before Toxie, because Candyman was legit. Even when I saw The Exorcist, Candyman, the first one, scared the fuck out of me. I watched that in a dingy ass basement in my house in Ohio, and Cabrini Green was like I remember having dreams of Cabrini Green was a real place, but I remember having nightmares. Like, remember when she chops the dog's head off, and it's like that whole, like, just that aesthetic of Cabrini Green. Like, I had nightmares of that for years. So that's one of my top favorite movies.
It's a beautiful film, and it's a shame what they did with the sequels. But anyways, so speaking of dogs and the beheadings, I guess the dog does die in Candyman. We have the film The Breed.
Woo-hoo!
That we decided to do for our Dog Days of Summer for part 1. Our first episode. And the reason I'm so happy with this one is because I've been wanting to watch it because I saw the cast of it. So I've been seeing it throughout the years. And I'm like, I gotta watch this goddamn movie because I never heard of it. It is presented by produced by Wes Craven. May he rest in peace.
I think just presented.
No, it says it says produced or presented.
Oh,
whatever.
it does.
Yeah. So whatever, Wes Craven is a part of this, and it does feel very Wes Craven-y when you do watch it. And the thing is like I went into this not knowing what it was because I assumed it was a werewolf film. I did not realize it was about killer dogs. And you know, people are very sensitive with dogs, and which is why I also feel this is a good theme for this month. You know, I mean, not all of them will be about killer dogs, and you know, the only killer dog people can think of when they come to mind is what? Cujo.
And there's another one from the 70s. I think it's called The Pack. I remember
The Pack. Well, The Pack is very good, and I was going to mention it because it's very similar to this one. So this is confusing. There's a movie called The Pack that's more recent, and it's about killer dogs. I don't think it's a remake of the 70s The Pack, because I don't know if y'all have seen my shirt. I have the 70s The Pack shirt, and it's super good and it's super creepy. And it's very similar about dogs on an island that vacationers go with their dogs. Apparently it's common to just leave your dog there, and they all turn on humans. So, but we're not talking about The Pack. We're talking about breeding people. The breed. The Brood.
The Breed. And The Brood. I wish I loved The Brood. That's a really good one. Anyways, but anyways, so this one is very 2006. So this is the year I graduated high school, starring Michelle Rodriguez.
And a lot of anal camel toe from her. I mean, I could smell like open booty in some of the shots.
Well, so to be fair, the early 2000s was for low-rise jeans, which we all wore. It was all
about the whale tail.
You know, the thong stuck out. We all had the low-rise jeans, very thin eyebrows, boobs showing, little tank tops. That's what we wore.
Was this when the thong song came out? When did Cisco do that?
Yeah,
early
it was
2000s. Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at old MTV pictures, and there's a picture of Cisco, Pink, and Tyrese all huddled together at MTV's Spring Break, and I'm like, yep, that's the early 2000s. And so we have Oliver Hudson, Kate Hudson's brother, but he's also in a shit ton of things as well.
Yeah, Black Christmas.
Yeah, Black Xmas to be specific. He was a prick.
Which actually I think is also 2006.
Yeah, was that so that was his heyday. He was also in Dawson's Creek at that time. And so he was one of Joey's boyfriends, and he was a total prick there. He's always playing a prick.
Yeah, typecasted.
Yeah,
he has a good look for it.
He does. He's not that cute. I think Kate Hudson is more attractive than he is.
He's cute if like you went to like a small town like in Gilmore Girls on vacation, and it was just like a weekend thing.
Yeah, I'd fuck him for the weekend and move on. Anyway, then we have Taryn Manning, who I wouldn't fuck her for any weekend.
Well, that's Charles Band's daughter.
I hate all of you. I hate both of you right now so much.
When the fuck did you think like Charles Band's? Why is he on meth too?
I don't know what happened. Whatever. Thank God Lance isn't here. Okay. I hate all of you. We have Eric Lively, who was very big at the time during Disney Channel. He was on So Weird. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
He was really
Is he
cute.
Blake Lively's brother?
He's Blake Lively's brother. They look exactly the same. You can't like literally put a wig on him. That's Blake Lively, but he didn't really go as far as she did, unfortunately. And then Hill Harper, who was really cute, but what the fuck was he in? He looks familiar.
He just had a nice body.
He was a cute guy. What was he? He's not very cute now, though. I'm looking at him. Oh God, he's 57. Oh, bless his
he's got
heart.
man tits now.
Okay, he was in Limitless and The Good Doctor. He's an active member of the Democratic Party. Anyways, the only black guy in the movie. And of course, he's the first one to go.
I'm gonna say, guess who goes first?
Yeah, they send him to the basement. I watched this, and I was stoned when I watched this, and I'm like, they're sending the black guy down to the basement. What the fuck? This is 2006.
Yeah. Oh, he was in Married with Children. He was in Get on the Bus, a Spike Lee movie. So he was very popular at the time because they made a point in the film to say and Hill Harper, and I'm like, who the fuck is Hill Harper? Because I don't remember who that is, but. Whatever. He was cute. He was cute at the time. But I guess he was like way older than everybody else in the movie, but he didn't look it. So that's okay.
Black don't crack.
Oh my God. But okay. So, I mean, a very good cast. Like this was, I don't know if they were as necessarily as popular as they are now, especially Michelle Rodriguez, because I think this was like right after Fast and Furious, and you know, she kind of they really do typecast Michelle Rodriguez over the years, especially. And you know who had the same problem was Jessica Alba at the time, because she kept getting all of these roles as this like typecast as this like Hispanic bimbo and things, right? And like so she was never really, you know, she always talks about that now, and I think it's very interesting because I feel like they did the same thing with Michelle Rodriguez. Like it was very hard for Hispanic women at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I like
one of the things
no, I was just gonna say I like Michelle Rodriguez in this because she didn't have like she was just normal. Like in all the other movies, she's typecast, and she's always got that pissed off brow. Like
and
that's what I was gonna say is like, because I knew her when I first saw the movie for this, because I own this movie, and when I first saw it, I knew of her because of Resident Evil, and she plays the badass, like, you know,
she's Rain in
I don't know what they
Evil.
were, cops or whatever. And so and I'm pretty sure she did other stuff too where she was that badass, but in this she's, you know, she plays the final girl, and you know, she's always gonna have that badass look to her just because she looks like she can fight. But she was very soft in this movie. So girl fight was the big thing she did first, which she was, I think, a boxer. And so like she's toned down, she's very soft, and you can be a badass woman, you can do all this stuff, but like it's cool to see the range because she pulled it off. She did great. So it was cool to see her in a role that wasn't the typical like badass babe.
Because I feel like they inherently direct her to have this like chip on her shoulder, and she did everything that she always did, but she didn't need that chip on her shoulder. And it's like, it's nice to see her there because she's so pretty. And I think a lot of people, I remember when Fast and Furious came out, a lot of people had a problem with her because she had that scowl on her face, and I'm like, you know, she's just, you know, Vin Diesel's bad boyfriend. Like, of course I'd have that scowl on my face. I mean, he looks good, but that's about it. And so like, you know, to see she does have range, and I would love to see her more, honestly. And I know that she's in things now, and you know, she's
let's put her in a rom-com.
I think that she could be really good with that. I love her in this movie. But it's funny because, you know, you think back on that day. So, you know, on the other hand, Taryn Manning was, quote, and I say quote with very heavy quotes when I say this, so neither of you comment about what I'm about to say next. She was the quote, yes, hot girl. Okay. And somebody, who was I talking about with this? And they were like, well, you know, white girl trash was like the look back in the day. Like,
even you hire a comment, she's like, that hairstyle looks terrible. I'm like, well, meth addict hair was the big thing back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, that bad hair, that bad blonde, the terrible choppy cut that she had. because everyone knows her now as Pennsatucky from
Orange is
which
the
I
New
think
Brown.
I think she's adorable in that. In this one, it was very strange to see her kind of play like when we were in high school, to wear like the popular girl clothes and to act the way she was acting, because she sounds like Tommy Pickles. Like,
yes,
there's
A.G.
no way
Daly.
around it. Yeah, like that it's and she has this adorable like thing to her because her voice sounds like Tommy Pickles. She has a little bit of a lisp. Her eyes are huge. She's very small. She's cute,
no
but
lips.
she's not, Playboy bunny babe that they were trying to make her out to be.
That one guy just like, you're so hot.
Yeah, they're both like, all the guys wanted her. I'm like, why? And Michelle Rodriguez is literally right there.
Because she was the blonde, her look was very popular back then. Because you look at the aesthetic of what was gorgeous back then, and it was like blonde, little to no body, like she had no figure, no boobs.
Yeah,
she wore those
denim skirts, gross.
Yeah, denim skirt. Yeah, I mean that was the aesthetic back then, and
layered shirts,
choppy hair, bad highlights. That was bad eyebrows. That was quintessentially early 2000s. Yeah. I don't want to say I didn't have any of those things because I had all of those things.
Didn't she have like those short jeans that said "juicy" on the back or something? I don't know. I watched it on Peacock, so I don't know.
She could have. I know. I think they had like more like American Eagle on, because I saw the back of their jeans. So I think it was like that was very big at the time. But anyways,
it's not as bad as the men though, and I'm glad this fashion has died. But being in the forest in a collared long sleeve shirt with the tank top and cargo shorts and moccasins, we don't need to revisit that. That's this journey's Exorcist. It's horrifying. We can just leave that where it was. Thanks, Abercrombie.
Yeah, and that was a big thing. So if you watch on Netflix, there's a really good documentary on Abercrombie and Hollister at the time, because I used to work for Hollister in high school. And so I totally get like the whole, again, people consider it a cult or whatever, this, that, and the third. I just saw hot white guys and I love gringos. So that was me. But, there was a lot to it. And I think that the early 2000s really encapsulates all of those things, because we didn't have social media the way we have it now. So what you had was the look, and the look at the time, especially, we'll blame LFO, that we liked girls in Abercrombie and Fitch. And so,
even if I had one wish.
Exactly. And so Taryn Manning was the Abercrombie and Fitch girl, and Michelle Rodriguez, unfortunately, was but the cheesemate. So first of all, there's lots of cheesemate in this fucking movie, because she used to date Oliver Hudson. So there's two brothers. So basically it's a group of friends who take a fucking plane to an island trying to say that they don't have money. They're like, oh, we don't have money, but you took a fucking plane to get there. So get the fuck out of here.
Their dads are hedge funds.
Exactly. So they take a plane to a private island because they need a break from the stresses of college. Oh my God. And so they take a plane out there to like just camp and have fun at their uncle's old cottage. But on the other side of the island, there's an entire compound that used to train service dogs. And the boys are talking about it throughout the beginning of the film, that all the dogs had to get put down because one of them came up with rabies and they all got it. So that was like the big thing with the dog compound, right? And of course, the beginning of the film, that one girl at the beginning of the film, she lost both her fingers. I said, oh no.
I know.
I thought of Paxton. Like, oh, bless your heart.
Oh yeah. And 2006, same year.
2006. It must have been the year of the lost fingers. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so, but so, you, of course, you have that opening scene where the people get attacked and, blah, 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 but you don't really know what's happening. And then when we get to the kids hanging out, it's actually quite subtle. Like, it's fun. They get there, they're unpacking. We realize that Michelle Rodriguez used to date the older brother first, leaves him for the younger brother. And so there's some animosity there. And then you've got Taryn Manning, who's known them since high school. She keeps talking about, remember when we were kids? Remember when we were kids? Whole fucking movie. Remember when we were kids? Grow up. And then they have the one black friend.
who they send to the
diversity
basement
hire.
first. Yeah, it's like, well, we got to get our token out of the way.
Yeah, and he, he looks Hispanic. I didn't even think he was black until he said he was black. I thought he was Hispanic, so I didn't even know.
Well, one thing I did like, I mentioned this like yesterday when I was watching. I'm like, man, these a lot of movies nowadays aren't as pervy as this. Like they're making jokes. I remember he's like, "You want to put it out?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could put it out." And she's like, "You perv." He's like, and just kind of doing this. I'm like, hey, I miss these 2006 jokes.
I miss the early 2000s because everybody was a sleaze, but it was fine, right? And like you're never gonna have that again.
No, well, I don't know if you guys remember, but like 2006, like when this came out, I remember seeing VHSs of The Breed, and yet all us in high school, because when I graduated in 2009, so we were playing games like Leisure Suit Larry and stuff. That's a game where you have to try to get this loser laid, and it's a pervy joke. So this movie had the same jokes that Leisure Suit Larry had. And I'm just like, hey, it's a running thing. This was before what was it? Remember Newgrounds? Well, maybe Newgrounds was around, and then or funny like the ifunny.com, like that stupid shit.
Well, and see, that's where, like, even though Doug is only a few years younger than us, but he has a different experience of the early 2000s that we have. So if like you grew up with like,
well, in Ohio, it's a decade behind too. So
yeah, but you're also ahead in some points because you're more online. You did things more online, like whereas we knew how to use online or use the internet online. We knew how to use the internet, but we were on it the way people are like started to get on it as the years ticked by. And so like, I don't know what you're talking about when you say those things.
Oh no, I was just saying, I mean, I used Windows 98 since 2007. So,
And and this is the thing, it's a very good time capsule. And and I think it makes a lot of sense too, because they don't have cell phone service, and that made sense back then. So there's a lot of things that happens in the film that wouldn't really necessarily work today. Right. But I liked it. I know that Mikey, you said you have it. So Mikey, you must love this movie.
Well, I bought it before I saw it, and I didn't remember how I felt in the beginning, and it was average. I liked it because of the cast. Michelle Rodriguez, I loved, her performance. I like Taryn Manning's performance because even though she's, a little wackadoodle, she's cute. And the biggest shining stars for me are the dogs. Like the fact that we don't have stupid CGI dogs, or it's not, I know they probably use puppets for some stuff, but there's some scenes where I was like, how did they do that without a fake dog? Like one dog gets shot by an arrow and it looks real. And then when one of the dogs tries to attack, I think it's Taryn Manning, and Oliver Hudson grabs it real quick and like spins it around. Like that looks like they really did it. And I know they had a week of training before they filmed to train with the dogs. So it's really cool to see that all this preparation and budget went into actually having dogs and not something cheap or fake.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to note that when you do a film like this, especially because you don't really know at the beginning that it's dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you don't know until the dogs start doing it. And first they find this puppy, and of course I'm the same way.
The puppy.
Oh,
I said there was no cheap CGI, but whenever they made his face change to growl, I was like, oh, no more of that, please.
yeah. There's, I mean, the movie obviously it does date itself.
But that was the only part.
But it kind of like, it's one of those things where it takes something very innocent, sort of like films about killer dolls. It takes something very innocent, something you trust, and kind of turns it on its head. And it's different in the sense of Cujo, because with Cujo you see him unraveling. With this one, the dogs are right away malicious, and they're smart. And so I think that it was a very interesting concept to come up with, and I'm glad that this movie happened, because I don't know how they could do this now. Do we have anything recent that is about killer dogs in this vein? Because people are so sensitive over dogs.
Yeah. No, the only thing I could think, well, speaking of dogs, I'm surprised this happened, but have you guys watched Twisted Metal yet?
No, not yet. I'm one too.
Oh, well, there's a scene, I won't go into spoilers, but someone violently stabs a dog with sewing needles. And I'm just like, this is a new show that just came out. I thought they got the fucking balls, and it's bloody. It's blood spraying all over the place. And so there's that.
The funny thing is, okay, because I was actually thinking about this when I was watching it. I was like, why am I not upset at these dogs dying? But it's because they're the villains, you know, like we don't like children to die in movies, but sometimes when the children is the bad guy, you're like, fuck that bitch. And it's interesting because like we're talking about Cujo versus this movie. And the thing about Cujo is it was very obvious he had rabies. And that was the biggest thing, because if you get bit, you're in big trouble. These dogs, they never actually like confirmed what was going on, because if they weren't really showing signs of being rabid other than just being aggressive, but they were also being like trained to kill. Like they were kind of like a secret weapon, which is why the factory was like all the way down there in the woods. But they bite Taryn Manning and they give her the whole speech about, we need to get you to a doctor, but it's not necessary for you to get a rabies shot like today. You can have up to a week before like it doesn't become effective. And she starts having a fever and she starts showing that she's sick. She starts getting really hungry. I'm like, is this bitch going to turn into a dog?
Yeah, I was waiting for, she was eating the meat and stuff.
Yeah. But then they kind of dropped it. Like she was like, I feel better the next day. And then she's just still ended up having a fever. So they didn't really show us what that was.
No. That was a plot hole. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Well, it comes in later. I thought it was funny. I watched it last night, but I'm like, does she have, now that she got bit, does she have like telekinesis with the dog? Like she could do and talk to it, because she's like, wait, let the dog stay here. Let me talk to it. And she screams.
No, I don't think she was trying to talk to her. I think she knew she was dying. But see, this is the thing. It would have worked if we had any clue or indication that she knew a little bit about dogs, because she's right. The dog was staring at her. She was staring at the dog, and she's like, doesn't look that bad, but you know, this is Hollywood. She's basically like, leave me here, I'm dying. And he's like, no. And she's like, you need to leave. If I break eye contact with the dog, it will attack. She's like, go out the window, I'll follow you. We know she's lying. So I don't think she was trying to like reason with the dog. I think she knew she was dying. And it's true, if an animal, any predator is staring at you, as soon as you break eye contact, it's going to attack you. So I think she just gave him time to leave, and then she didn't make it.
I break eye contact with this thing all the time, and he just does this.
That's a 12-pound spitz. I'm not talking about myself.
That's another thing too, right? Because we look at dogs as inherently our man's best friend. And so with Cujo, we know there's something wrong with him, and that's why he's behaving that way, so we accept it. But this film, the dogs never look rabid. We know that they're the villain, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I just think that I don't think you can get away with doing that now.
Well, I mean, that's kind of scarier, because a lot of people who would see those dogs, I remember when I first saw them, I'm like doggy.
And also, but they also chose German Shepherds, right? And I think
I was about to say,
inherently German Shepherds are very menacing to most people when they see them. They're not friendly.
I think it's because we associate them with wolves. They almost look like wolves, but also they're police dogs, and we've seen them fuck people up in chases for the police. Because at first I was like, why are they all German Shepherds? So like, did they just get a German Shepherd Wrangler? But then it makes sense, because if they're having a compound and doing like specific training, those are usually the dogs you train.
Yeah. And the only other film I can think of, which I guess we could do this month if you wanted, is The Collector, because he has Rottweilers. And so the Rottweilers are very menacing in that film. And when they do die, you're like, fuck that dog. Like, and it's not even that it's a Rottweiler, but they're so vicious and just like callous, and
it's a powerful beast.
Yeah, and they're indicatively representing the villain or the antagonist in the story. So they're like a piece of him, or essentially like another, whatever. So I get it. I think, but with this movie, it does work, and it's when they the first time it came through the window, I screamed. I was like,
yeah. It had decent scares, or decent thrills.
And then they had to kill it. I'm like, I don't know if I could kill the doggy. Oh my god.
Well, but the dog's attacking you. I'm sure your flight or fight would snap in. I'm like, fuck this dog. Like this when they go for the window and then out on a carousel, they spin around. That dog was a puppet. I seen that. I mean, you could see it's stuffed animal when they get impaled. So that was a deep. It Eiffel Towered and DP'd itself. So it went out with a gangbang and bestiality as well too.
Well, I'm not gonna say I was starting to make this point and then I dropped it because I went on a side tangent. Jason sent us the clip from doesthedogdie.com for the breed. It's like, yes, multiple dogs do die in this movie.
The thermometer meter was red.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. The only thing that maybe that's why he's not here. He's too sensitive.
No, but he said he was going to come. Why is he not here?
Oh, Jason. Strike three.
Didn't he say that he was going to come? Or
he ran out of chips.
I don't remember. We'll discuss his future on this podcast after the episode. I'm just kidding.
Bless his heart. Oh my God.
No, anyway. But the only part that I wasn't sold on, because I have a German Shepherd, and yeah, they're menacing, they can be strong, but I wrestle with mine and I can easily take it down. But that's one. When they're running to the plane, because the dogs chew the rope and the plane's floating away and he's swimming and there's two on the plane, I would have taken my chance.
Yeah.
Because dogs aren't the best swimmers. They can swim decently, but they probably can swim about the same way we can swim. I mean, shit, it's called doggy paddle. We can do it too. And I was just like, that's not enough for me to believe he's going to turn around and abandon the plane. Maybe there should have been more, but I don't know.
Well, it was interesting though, because that guy was an idiot to begin with. Like all of the mistakes that he made.
The arrow.
Oh
yeah, the arrow. He's like, oops, I'm sorry.
The dog had run away and he still shot it. And I inherently think that the movie was trying to show that he's still bitter about the whole she left him for the brother.
And he really shot, like, how selfish is that if you're going to, it's like, oh, you're going to attack my dog. Let me just shoot you in the arrow. That's my revenge. Yeah, I hope that hurts.
Then he didn't even care. And the shot goes back to him and his face is nothing. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I did it. Oops, my bad. Let me go run over there. Come on.
See, they should have got her going like, you stupid cunt, you motherfucker. Why the fuck, you blind ass bitch, you cocksucking motherfucker piece of shit.
Well, why is she still nice to him after that? Like, get the fuck out of my fucking face.
I was waiting for her to blow up. I'm like, oh, but she doesn't. What the fuck?
No, because this isn't badass Michelle Rodriguez. This is very conservative Michelle Rodriguez. But I thought it was funny, and Jason mentioned the same thing in our group chat. When he has to he's shooting, what does he shoot? Did he try shooting it again after he accidentally shoots her?
I don't remember. He just shoots her in the leg. He's like,
he shoots her in the leg on accident, but then he's going to shoot again.
Yeah, but it wasn't that same scene. He goes to shoot the dog again and she's over there.
It's whenever she's on the other building and he has to shoot the thing next to her. And I'm like, I don't want her to die, but I really hope she gets shot again because that would be so funny.
Yeah, he's like, hey, Michelle, can you put this apple on your forehead?
Oh my god, like that's so embarrassing. And and he didn't care. And the thing is, it's like, I hate it when movies use a bow and arrow, which they do use in Don't Fuck on the Woods Part 2, by the way, because
does it go up a nanner hole?
A bow and arrow, unless you have the strength to really, because I feel like a crossbow has more oomph.
You need to know how to do it. You can't just pick up a bow and arrow and hope for the best.
Yeah, Oliver Hudson's not a fucking warrior. Like, he's some little rich ass boy trying to prove himself, fucking around in the woods, right? Like, he's not. I feel like in this instance they should have had a crossbow because that would make more of an impact, in my personal opinion. But have you tried pulling a crossbow back? Because that is not easy.
I've shot a bow and arrow and it literally went there was no power behind it, and I thought I was doing great. That thing would not stab anything.
Yeah, you gotta line it up and let it go. You guys never went to camp?
Yeah, that's where I shot it, and it didn't work. It was like it was like a limp dick of an arrow.
I was gonna say
that. Yeah, you like pull it out. It's like, here we go. We're gonna let it go, and the arrow it's
like a less exciting splooge. Just boop.
Yeah, exactly. The only person who can get away with a bow and arrow is Eliza Dushku in Wrong Turn. That's the only time it's used appropriately.
Exactly. But she could do it.
Yeah, it's Eliza Dushku.
Michelle Rodriguez could have done it better than him. Did she
give it to her?
Yeah, give her the goddamn thing. No, he just shoots her in the fucking leg. And then she's like, I'll give him a heart-to-heart later about it. I'm like, girl, drop his ass. He's done. Because that was the worst, the weirdest part of the movie to me was when they got off the plane and he was like, well, nobody's got me. And she's like, I got you. And I'm like, he's like, you dropped me. And I'm like, I thought she was dating the other guy. Was it? Like, I was so confused. I had to rewind it because I wasn't sure I heard that correctly. Like,
maybe she just wanted to be Eiffel Towered. It's fine.
Probably. She just wanted both of them. That's fine.
They're not. She just wanted open marriage. So.
Anyways, but this was a good start. It was actually filmed in Germany and South Africa.
Oh, interesting fact. So the director, forgot his name.
Nicholas Mastandrea.
Yes, him. He has done, this is his one and only directing debut. Whatever.
Yeah, they're like, it's his debut, but he's never done anything.
He's like, these damn dogs.
I hope it's not because of this movie, because it really isn't. Even if you don't like it, the film itself is not bad. But he has been an assistant director or a second unit director for a ton of big things. The reason why it says Wes Craven Presents is because he was the assistant director for Wes Craven on Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and Wes Craven chose him to direct this movie. Yeah. So I thought that was a fun little tidbit of trivia.
Yeah, I read that too. That was interesting. And, you know, especially what good timing this came out, because, you know, we're just dealing with the anniversary. Or no, was this his birthday?
Yeah, it was his birthday, yeah.
Plus,
so everyone can say, oh, Wes Craven, The Breed. It's like, what the fuck? On Instagram, piss everyone off.
Presents, yeah. It's the same thing, I think, with Quentin Tarantino presenting Hostel. So that must have been a thing in the early 2000s that none of us really get.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's all co-signing.
But you know, it's got the same shtick as all of Wes Craven's films. It's young people going through, you know, a trying time. They're not the perfect young people. They all have their issues, right? And so it honestly, for what it was, I was really impressed by it. I'm really sad I haven't watched it sooner, honestly. So
I just thought of something random. Yeah. Besides Last House on the Left, are any of Wes Craven's movies sexual?
Oh, the Hills Have Eyes.
That's
People Under the Stairs.
The mom gets murdered, the daughter gets raped, and the baby gets kidnapped. People Under the Stairs.
I said sexual, so that is one of those things.
Well, yeah. So somebody got raped.
Daddy was a gimp with a shotgun. I remember that freaked me out.
He was assaulted.
Well, because even in okay, well, not rape, but because you know when we think of sex scenes. Because I was like, this movie was missing a sex scene. And then I was thinking, well, Scream doesn't have a sex scene.
Scream does. That's where all the cum shoots on the ceiling.
That's scary.
Wait, that's Scary Movie. Oops.
Billy and Sydney have sex. Yeah.
Barely. If it's a PG-13 movie. And then
I guess Sydney flashes him.
You don't see anything. That is not a good sex scene.
Okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street, we get a topless, I forgot her name. But...
Nightmare on Elm Street, Tina and Rod are fucking until the cows come home. Yeah, that was really explicit. And then they slash her chest open with her boobs out, and they were trying to rate it NC-17 for that scene. So that was pretty brutal.
I was just wondering, audience, let us know in the comments, what's the most sexual Wes Craven movie? Not rape, just consensual, fun sex.
Didn't Deadly
that's
Friend
just not his
one?
thing.
Wasn't there a sex scene with the robot and Anne Ramsey? No, wait,
no, you're thinking of the Iron Giant. No,
Iron
Wax. God, here we go. All right, gentlemen.
Maybe it's just not his thing.
Well, no, because I'm looking right now. Let's look at his thing. So, you know, we love Wes Craven. May he rest in peace.
We do. He made great movies, but I'm a pervert and I like sex in my movies.
He had sex in his movies. God damn it. But
I'm not saying it's a detractor. I'm just saying
it's Swamp Thing. He did the remake for Swamp Thing. The Serpent and the Rainbow has sexual encounters. Scream 2. Do we have sex in Scream 2? We just watched that.
I want to say none of the Scream movies have
Scream 2 didn't have like a glory hole scene where a dick goes through. No, that's Scary Movie again.
No, that's Scary Movie. Oh
Doug,
my god.
You really think Wes Craven put that in Scream?
You know what? I never watched Shocker, so I don't know if Shocker has it.
That's about the wrong Shocker, not the exciting one.
Yeah.
Oh,
like your one that you plug into the PS5 aid.
Oh my god. I can't believe
the one
that said that
took the whole power out of your whole building that one time.
Well,
it looks like a little flower.
She took out the whole neighborhood's power.
I like that little flower.
It's a little flower with like a
I left it
thing.
plugged in on the counter one time, and Dan asked me what it was. I'm like, don't you worry.
It's Dan 2.0.
Well, it looks like Biollante from Godzilla. I'm like, oh, that's what you use. Like Yahaira, I didn't know you like Godzilla so much. When did you get this figure? It moves.
Oh my goodness. My god. I hate all of you. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? But the point is that while there are, some of his exploitative movies do have sex in it, it is not meant to be overt or to be sexualized. It is meant to drive the story forward. And so while Sydney have sex, I think the whole point of Sydney having sex in Scream, obviously, unlike Coker, who is like, oh, she's sex positive because he's a fucking pervert. The whole point of Sydney having sex is to break the rule that people having sex in horror films are going to die. Yeah. So that's there to, to get rid of that. Mm-hmm. So again, those are not meant to be overt. And so I'm fine with that. Like, I don't think we really need a lot of sex. And I think he did a good job with showing that, right? Except for Nightmare on Elm Street. Rod and Tina fucking. Like, Johnny Depp's on the sofa, pissed off because he can't have sex with Nancy and he's listening to them. So Johnny Depp is being gross in that movie.
Come on, just put the tip in. It's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, he's just listening to it on the couch, pissed off, and
that's the one where he starts using a cutlet of pork as a pocket pussy, right?
Like,
I think these movies are all coming together.
Anyway, I know, why is everything? It's like all blending together. It's a wet hot slasher summer after.
Because I was so used to all the sleaze that we were getting ready for. Now we got movies about it's a good bitch.
All right, well,
save it for Beaver Spring Fever.
Well, do we? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, so would we have anything else to say about this movie? I think, if you guys are going to watch it, I would recommend streaming it. You can stream it on Tubi. It's on FreeVee. So if you're watching,
it's on a lot of free things. Yeah. So watch it. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, which is good. It's just not anything groundbreaking.
Yeah, it could be gorier. It could be, but it's not classified necessarily as horror. And I think that the cover sort of makes you feel like it's a werewolf movie. It is not a werewolf film. So just keep that in mind. It is about dogs. If you're sensitive towards that might trigger you. But at the end of the day, whatever, it's a fucking movie. So
yeah, it's the same thing. It's interesting to see 2006 because it is like such a timestamp of like when we were in high school. But no, I mean, you get an Eiffel Tower scene with Taryn Manning and a dog getting penetrated on a little merry-go-round thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing it when I watched it last night, but I couldn't remember if it like the dogs were ripping Taryn Manning. So that was a pretty cool gore scene. Like she's impaled with the other dog on top of her, and then the dogs come and like tear her head off and tear her arms off while she's there.
Okay, well, I didn't see the head being torn off, but I was gonna say one of the notes I made is that when she dies, and the dogs are like ripping at her body, like it looks like the dogs are actually ripping Taryn Manning's body. Like she doesn't look like a dummy. The dogs are out of I just love the practical effects.
Yeah, there's a lot of good practical effects, and I think their use with the dogs works really well. And for those of you listening, if you want to know, the whole issue is that they weren't training the dogs to be service dogs. They're actually using some experimental drug on them, trying to enhance them to be like, soldier dogs, or dog soldiers, I should say, right? As weapons. And so, that's why they're so violent, and they're actually like they're aware they're very aware of what they're doing, and they're, whatever. But
See, I thought they were just training them to be like emotional support dogs on the airplanes, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Well, yeah, service dogs, and that one terrible, right?
Yeah,
that was the cover. That was the drug front.
And so, I mean, it's fine. It's a good movie. I think for 2006, I wish it would have went to theaters. I think it went straight to video.
I think it did too. Yeah, because I remember I got confused when I was younger because the font on the breed was the same font as there's a movie that came out around the same time called King of the Ants. That was a Stuart Gordon movie. I don't know if you guys remember King of the Ants. It had like the same font, so I always thought they were like. Then they came out at the same time, so I'm like, everyone must love this font in 2000s.
Yeah, because even the thing behind me, it's very Scream, right? They show all the faces going down. And whatever. That was the aesthetic. I think so it got asses in seats, I suppose, or people to watch it. I don't know. So
yeah, well, it's an hour and a half, and I think 10 out of 10. You want to know why? Just for one scene alone, when Michelle Rodriguez accidentally gets shot in the ankle with the arrow. That was pretty fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie.
That was good.
And that also looked real too. Like
I screamed. I was like,
I don't know who's doing these things, but we need to hire them for Noelia.
No, yeah.
I know, that was so good.
It's like
then when they had to take it out.
Yeah, because it's not like they don't show it and then they show her leg and it has an arrow. Like it shows the arrow flying into her leg.
Through her, and that was so visceral. Like it was a shock to me because I didn't think they would do it. So
watch it. Slasher fucks with this movie.
Augusta, yeah. Now,
anyways,
yeah. So that was the breed. Oh, but did you want to ruin the ending? We could ruin
No, I hate that.
I hate the ending too. It was very stupid.
The ending was stupid. Yeah, the ending.
Stop it before 5 seconds before it's done. It'll be fine.
I mean, you see it coming, so it is what it is. And and that's how you end things. They were probably banking on sequels to this. And I think there is. There's actually there is a Breed Part 2. Because
that's Breed Me Part 2.
Yeah, well, that too. But if you I was looking at the trying to get a picture for my background, and there are sequels to it. Are they any good? Couldn't tell you. Didn't watch them.
None of them are Michelle Rodriguez and
no. It's a bunch of nobodies and the rest of them. So you want to have fun one day and watch killer dog films, go for it. If you see part 2 and you want to contact us and let us know what's going on, please do. AIDS/pod@gmail.com, or just send nudes to Mikey. It's fine.
Hooray!
So we're coming up on the end of the episode, boys. Where can we get? Oh, by the way, congratulations, Leslie, for winning the Slashers podcast versus Much Ado About Nerding fitness challenge, our declaration of fit dependence. Before I forget,
yes, good job, Leslie. You were a beast.
He got a Slashers Things t-shirt, so I'm really excited, which is so funny because I think Carlos picked the same t-shirt when he won, so yay. And we kicked the nerds' asses. Joe
no
is
surprise.
Not happy, so.
Yeah, poor nerds. He had to carry all that weight on his shoulder. But no, Leslie, seriously, nerds. You must be a jogger or something, because I see the drawings you make on your map that you post in the app. Yeah, he ran every day. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he does anyway, so good for him, and I'm happy about that because he was killing it the entire time. And so that was my thing. I didn't want to do the calories because I knew that I think I got 7th place. Mikey beat me. Doug, you were up there. Doug, you were in top 5, I think, right?
I was, but I don't think I was entering the information right, to be honest. I'm like, wait a minute.
For Christ's sake. Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
Doug.
I get lazy.
Yeah,
I'm on the toilet. I'm like,
our top 5 was Leslie, then Carlos, then Joe. So Leslie and Carlos were slashers. Then we had Joe. Bless his heart. We love you, Joe. Then Doug, and then Mary or Maddie. And she was one of the nerds. So we had 2 nerds and 3 slashers in our top 5. So I think we did pretty well. Just gonna set it up. So
not bad.
We wiped the floor until the next challenge, which will probably be in January because I can't keep doing this. I'm dying. Anyway, so yeah, slasherspod.redbubble.com. If you want to join the next fitness challenge, I encourage you to do so, because if you win on our team, you can get a t-shirt. So yay. If you want to support us monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/slasherspod. We have tiers from $1 to $10 if you want to support Doug. He does a lot of B-movie TV stuff. We've got B-movie TV Friday Night Action, and then Saturday Night Terrors with Yohira. You can follow Doug at Doug Bizarro. And then for Mikey, you could follow him at Horror and a Half Shell. And he is actually, he and Doug are working on a new project. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, we're acting in one coming up soon. I think next month in the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want to follow, the movie's called There's Something Inhuman in the Woods. You can, I think it's on Instagram and Facebook. We don't run that page. We're just acting in the film. And then we have our own film that we are all doing together as a slashers team called Noelia, but we'll probably promote that more after this movie.
Yeah. Because because I think there's an Indiegogo, but it might be ended by the time you guys hear this episode. But yeah, no, it's gonna take place in a Denver, Colorado cabin, and Mikey and I are playing boyfriend girlfriend or boyfriend boyfriend. So
I always knew it.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a stoner too in there, so that should be fun.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys, and I can't wait to see it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyway, so with that, I think that we're pretty much done with today's episode. So stay tuned for the rest of the dog days of summer, and we're back to school, so that's going to be coming up soon. And with that, on behalf of my gorgeous, my boo boo Mikey and my Doug Bizarro, goodbye and good day.